Oh, hi there. Welcome back. We are getting to the final act of Partly Cloudy here at Earned Happy Endings. I hope you watched the first two videos. The rainstorm has gone down to a gentle, I don't know, not trickle, but a little bit more than a trickle. Anyways, you don't care about the weather, you care about Pixar, I hope. And you care about Partly Cloudy and how it all ends up. Because we are on pins and needles. Will Gus and Peck still be friends? Ah! Guess what? They will. It's great. Alright. So the final act of the film begins like it's going to be another scene in the pattern of dangerous animal babies. Peck lands, and just like before, he's beat up. And this time it's porcupine needles sticking out of his head. But the music is no longer strings, and it maintains the same jaunty tone on the xylophone. And Gus does not even pretend to be positive this time. And he immediately responds with concern. And there's this kind of brief comedic moment when Peck's face distorts as the needles are pulled. But Peck has reached his breaking point, and the levity is short-lived. Gus turns around to get the new baby. And in a second comedic beat, it's so obviously a shark that the stork panics, that Peck panics. And it is the film's equivalent to the snow globe explosion in Knick Knack. It is the break in the pattern that changes everything. Giacchino inserts his own gag here, including panicked trills to accompany the shark, and Peck responds by looking up to the obnoxiously happy cloud, who at this point is just throwing out ducklings. Like, everything is played to excess here. It's great. And accompanied by the happy strings of the score. And this is the moment that the audience and Gus have both been dreading. Peck flies away, and the string section sends him off with a long and slow, mournful I can't talk today! Sweeping score. So Peck flying away points to a limit on unconditional love, and even if we have been inspired by Gus and Peck's love for the unlovable up until this point, we kind of lose hope when Peck flies away. He kind of disproves the best of us, and it points to this idea that there are creatures just doomed to be alone, and that Gus is one of them. It's a very dark moment, ultimately. It has a lot of potential terrible ideas in it. And so we are kind of left to mourn with Gus and all these terrible ideas in our head. But the fact that Peck ultimately solves this problem, means it's all okay, and it's better that they went there and made us think these things, because that's a bit more like real life. So, but before we get there, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. At this point in the film, we go and our perspective shifts exclusively to Gus. So it's important that we don't get access to Peck at this point because it would give away the ending. And so instead we just get to kind of experience Gus's sadness fully, because it looks as if he just lost his only friend, and we get a shot from his perspective of the happy cloud putting his arm around Peck, indicating that the loss is permanent. He's not just going to go visit this happy cloud, and that he's been accepted into this popular fold, and that Gus has no one left. And so it's the darkest moment of the film, both literally and figuratively. Since these are clouds, the filmmakers take the imaginative step forwards that the clouds' moods change the weather, so that the world shifts to darkness with Gus as he gets briefly sad and then very angry. So I guess if we were to extend the metaphor, Gus is pretty unhappy right now. So the score is panicked. The score is panicked at this moment, and then it becomes a thunderstorm. So there's rapid trills from the strings, and then Gus has his tantrum, and his emotions take over the frame, just like the dark moment in Bounden. It's all tied together, everything is linked. These strategies are used again and again because they work. And so this moment is the closest to traditional villainy the film gets, because Gus forgets himself and his wonderful love for all living things, and he actually destroys the potential shark baby and shoots lightning out beneath him. He crushes the baby, and then lightning comes out. It's really dark. It's not as dark as it could have been because the baby was still in cloud form, so it didn't have life yet. And it proves that even though Gus has a good heart, he is still vulnerable and imperfect, which is really important for these characters, because we could fall into these like saint-like characters that we can't identify with, because we all make mistakes, we all have our dark moments, and this is Pixar extending their happy helping hand to us, and recognizing that the best of us have our moments. And it also is a breaking point. Peck had his breaking point. This is Gus's. So, with all that being said, his violent reaction is concerning but short-lived. And he gets distracted by the happy Cloud presenting Peck with a bundle. So it looks like he's accepted and now he has work. He's staying over there, as it would seem. And so the real reason behind all of Gus's anger, his heartbreak, comes through as he starts sobbing, which becomes translated as rain. I'm really happy that both Pixar and Disney are kind of taking this approach, that a lot of anger is rooted in sadness. We see a lot of that in Big Hero 6, because it's a very empathetic approach to things, and shows that, with a little love, with a little bit of love, we can fight a lot of the anger and hate in this world. And so that's very, very idealistic and going very broad. So I will rein it in. But think about that when you think about this movie. And so Giacchino marks this change by cutting out the orchestra and just including piano. And so we have this. The significance is twofold. We have that subtle moral lesson I referred to, and do note that it is a lesson that comes across with no dialogue and rings true, because we get this example of it happening as opposed to just being told about it. And it's also a lesson meant to be mulled over and remembered when one experiences something similar. That is for later reflection, and in this moment, we should just be upset about Gus. Should be upset about Gus's sadness and upset about Peck leaving. And in traditional Pixar fashion, the moment provides an alternate explanation for an everyday event. So, twofold. Moral lesson, imaginative moment. And in the end, rain is clouds crying. And so the link of rain and sadness is fairly conventional, and the story behind this particular iteration of the trope is original. So, very familiar trope, completely original context. And it fits so well in this story that we kind of forgive them for using a trope. And so this is ultimately a happy short, despite all this sadness. So, as not to break with a tonal consistency, Gus's crying is immediately followed by the big twist. We don't revel in his sadness for too long, or we'd have a different film on our hands. So up until this point, the filmmakers have been playing with audiences' expectations and knowledge. It's all about what we know and what we don't know. And we saw the potential of Peck abandoning Gus and hoped against it. And there's no obvious solution, and everything seems really tragic because they actually make it hard for us to fill in the gaps and figure out how they're going to fix it. So, we have this moment, and we don't know how it's going to be fixed. And Peck flies away. It's the confirmation of our worst fears and everything that the filmmakers have been hinting at us. It's just what's going to happen. And we don't realize that the filmmakers are playing with our feelings, because unbeknownst to us, the filmmakers planned the solution to this seemingly insurmountable problem way back in the introduction, and for us, way back in video 2. Because it's revealed to us that when Peck flies back to Gus carrying the bundle, it's not a baby, and it's not going to an expectant mother. Instead, it's going to Gus. And Peck arrives, and he seems happy and serene, which is this kind of marked contrast to the haggard appearance he had before. And the piano switches back to strings, but the score is more intimate and less epic. And so Peck then reveals that his bundle contains the football gear from before, that he is ready and willing for the next potentially deadly animal because he has this new armor. So it's a really sweet conclusion, and it's a relief for Gus, and it's a relief for us, and Gus hugs Peck, and the score immediately switches back to the jauntiness from the morning. Keeping with the film, however, there's one last joke as the storm cloud, as Gus hands Peck an electric eel, therefore defeating the purpose of the armor, but it's a happy ending. So Peck laughs it off, and the world is back to the happy place it was before, and it's peaceful status quo. And I would say that the reason that the electric eel is just kind of a gag and rather than a fatal hole in the plan is that we know that that's not going to always happen, that he now has this armor to fight against most of the animals that Gus is going to present to him. So what works about this ending emotionally is that it is an earned happy ending. There's an escalated conflict with real painful stakes, and it's resolved in a clever way. There's a lesson embedded in the conflict, but it is told to the audience through action as opposed to a lecture, and the filmmakers choose to tell their story through carefully choreographed action as opposed to the easy, simplistic method of the song in Boundin'. And it maintains a positive tone, yet provides enough comedic edge to it to avoid being sickly sweet. Peter Sohn claims in the commentary about the film, like I said before, that it was about him maintaining a relationship with his mother, and ultimately Peck is figuring out over the course of the film how to say I love you in a language that both Peck and Gus can understand, so he was doing exactly what Peter Sohn was doing when his mother spoke Korean and he spoke English. Just like Peter Sohn and his mother, they are two wonderful beings who care about each other, who also happen to have significant obstacles in their way. And they overcome these obstacles because they prize their relationship over anything else. And in the end, love is the center of this piece, deeply rooted in the hearts of the characters, and if all goes according to plan, deeply rooted in the hearts of the audience. It's a film that works to bring out the best in people, and for that it is one of Pixar's masterpieces. So that's the kind of poetic end to our week on Partly Cloudy, and now you can see why I am so obsessed with it. Not only does it, I think, encompass Pixar's most heartfelt strategies, it touches on a lot of what I find most important in the Pixar ethos and in films in general, and what this blog is all about. And appropriately, the sun has come out here to end our little chat for this week. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm actually off next week, so you won't hear from me. But after that, we will move on to La Luna, which is just gorgeous. Try to watch it on a big screen if you can. It's so pretty, and I know a lot of people who it's their favorite. So go check it out and enjoy, and have a lovely week, and cherish all your relationships, and have love in all of them, and take care of each other and all that. So see you next week. See you in 2 weeks.